actually what your birth chart, which is this astrological blueprint of you, which is very unique to you, this is your kind of remembering of like, you are like a 1 in 70 trillion like miracle. There is literally, the odds of there being another Diane is like 1 in 70 trillion.
Well, hi everybody, this is Diane Gilman, and if you hear a lift in my voice, it's because my podcast, Too Young to Be Old, has a very special guest today. Her name is Jenna Ewing, and she is all about astrology. As a matter of fact, she's an astrology coach. So Jenna asked me for all my statistics, time of birth, da 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 da. I gave her everything, but I didn't have the time of birth. In 1945, when I was born, it's a bunch of scribble on a piece of paper from the hospital. You can't read any of it. The DMV wouldn't even give me a new driver's license using that as a form of identification. But I've got for you, Jenna, a little description. I went out with, I dated an astrologer for years when I was younger. And when he did my chart, and I think he had a guess, I said my time of birth was about 1 p.m. in the afternoon. He drew a circle, and then half the circle with a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
Everything above the horizon, there wasn't one planet. So for relationships, family, children, emotional investiture, there was nothing. Bottom half of the chart, which was business, commercial creativity, building a community, but it was business, business, business. That's where all the planets were. All the planets were below the horizon. What would you say to that?
Wow, it's interesting because immediately I went on to panic mode then, because I was like, oh God, when I looked at your chart, it was the opposite. But I wonder if he was using a different system to look at your chart. But yes, your sun sign and your Mercury are right at for me, they're right at the top of your chart, which is very much how you show up in society. So it's very like the public, like rounds. It's about career, you know, like your sun sign is like right on your midheaven, which is your career line, and it's right next to your Mercury on your career line. So yes, that does match up.
Yeah,
for sure.
It just never having children, even as a 3-year-old. I remember saying to my mother, I'm never going to have children. I'm going to be a famous designer, fashion designer. I mean, I had it all plotted out. It all just came to me. I knew who I was from the time I was literally a toddler. But I'm going to ask you something, which is, Jenna, you said the astrology of 2025 is pretty wild. No. I don't like wild. I like everything is the light shining on me and it's all going to be good. What do you mean by it's going to be wild?
Oh, okay. What I mean is, thank you for having me, by the way. I'm so excited to be there. I'll be chatting to you.
My whole female team was like, oh my God, we're going to be home listening to you and Jenna. So
okay, I'm excited. Right.
What is all of this about wildness? And
right.
And it has started out wild. I will give you that. January was like, buckle up.
Buckle up. Right. Okay. Yeah. Let me get into it. And I'll just try and break it down in the simplest way possible.
Perfect.
At the back end of last year, so in November, Pluto, which is the planet of transformation, which, you know, it's such a slow moving planet, which is why Pluto moving into Aquarius is such a massive deal, because Pluto's been in Capricorn for the last 20 years. So that's all so that's kind of like structure and authority and systems and everything like that. That's where Pluto's been. But in November, it changed into the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about, it has this rebellious energy, you know, it's kind of radical thinking. It wants to break free and question why we're doing things, like question the systems. Like it doesn't want to follow the rules. Like that is Aquarius energy. And Pluto moving into that planet is like, that's going to bring about a huge collective transformation for all of us.
It was wild when that happened in the late 60s and all through the 70s. And I'm ready to break out into Age of Aquarius. I loved it. Oh my
Yes.
God. That was the whole hippie thing, the whole flower child thing, the whole rebellion thing. It was such a massively creative time. We got our whole basis of music and rock and roll. And I was very happy to hear that it was back again.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
So
I feel like that was a time of liberation. But now I don't understand with Pluto, which is a heavy planet, how do those marry up for creativity and artistic expression and the feeling of being free and, quite frankly, happiness?
yeah. So Pluto, I mean, I get what you mean about Pluto, and sometimes it kind of feels like a bit of a heavy planet because
Like
it has
Saturn.
this thing, yeah. So Pluto has this kind of lesson of death and rebirth, essentially. Pluto's lesson is it wants us to let go of things that are no longer meant for us anymore, so that we can make space for things that really are. So with Pluto being in Aquarius, it's like asking us to really kind of look at our life, look at who we're being. Are we being our authentic selves in our life at the moment? And really looking at that and questioning that and kind of it's kind of Pluto in Aquarius is wanting us all to kind of awaken to like our truest selves, you know. And I think when you're being your truest self, that's when the kind of our creativity is like unleashed. That's where we feel like we can truly express ourselves. And that's kind of what Pluto is like, kind of asking of all of us. But this is through like a 20-year period. But we're right at the start. We're only in the very first year of Pluto in Aquarius, which is why it's quite exciting. But then off the back of that, we have all of these three other kind of outer planets, which also move quite slowly. So they affect us all like on the collective scale, moving sign as well. So we've got this big like Pluto and Aquarius energy, but we also have Neptune, which has been in Pisces for like 13 years.
Oh my God.
In March, it's moving into Aries, and Aries is a fire sign. Aries is about leadership and kind of being bold and direct. So Neptune is a planet of spirituality. So when this moves into Aries, it's asking us all to kind of lean into like becoming our own mystics in a way, like actually like taking leadership through what feels spiritual to us. And that's all like unique, isn't it, to like us as an individual, but it's starting us to lead ourselves through that. And then we also have Uranus, which is linked to Aquarius energy. So Uranus is the planet that awakens. Again, it's a rebellious planet. That's been in Taurus, which is an earth sign. It's quite slow moving. It's kind of, for that kind of rebellious energy, it's actually kind of like been, you know, it's been kind of grinding its gears a little bit in that energy. But that's about to move to Gemini, which is air, which is like fast energy.
And
so
duality.
Yes, and so that for me, Uranus and Gemini is like an awakening of us using our voices, of kind of radical thinking, radical ideas, like radical kind of exchange of ideas. Yeah, it's a much faster energy for Uranus, that kind of awakening planet, that radical thinking planet, to kind of ignite.
Let me say something to the audience. You may believe in astrology, you may not. But I will tell you that I have lived out the majority of my adult life not leaning on astrology, but using it as a tool. And I always think of the Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy meets the Scarecrow, and there's 3 different yellow brick roads to go down. And they finally choose one, and it leads them to the Emerald City. Astrology, with a coach like Jenna Ewing, can give you insights into your life and honestly knock down roadblocks where you may be feeling like, I didn't want to move. want to grow. I don't
Yeah.
want to experiment. I'm okay right here. And the rest of the universe is saying, but you can't stay right there because it's not going to be there
Yeah.
at a certain point. Now, here's my most dreaded forecast. You told me at 80 years old, I'm going to get Saturn, which to me is the ultimate sadistic planet. I always think of Saturn like, oh no, I can't wait for
Well,
that to go away.
I know.
Why? Why do I have to go through that at 80
I
years
know,
old?
because Saturn is the planet, it wants us to learn our life lessons,
Ah,
basically. It kind of comes in, and it feels like that. Oh, why am I going through this? When we come round to having these Saturn returns, and we tend to have around 2 or 3 in our lifetime, when Saturn comes back to the point in our birth chart of like where we were born, that's why it's called a Saturn return. It is this kind of, right, I'm coming in to make sure you learn the lessons this lifetime. Because I know, which it feels a bit like, oh, really?
You don't have to come in. I'm done with
But there's
that.
more. There's more to learn. But yeah, going back to that kind of Uranus and Gemini energy, like Gemini also loves to learn, right? So, and Uranus is the awakener. So I really feel like this year is our point to really kind of rebelliously start learning about ourselves, start learning about our uniqueness, and actually like remember that we are actually all individually unique, because sometimes we go down these spiraling holes of thinking that comparing ourselves to other people and needing to kind of fit in and make ourselves small. But actually what your birth chart, which is this astrological blueprint of you, which is very unique to you, this is your kind of remembering of like, you are like a 1 in 70 trillion like miracle. The odds of there being another Diane is like 1 in 70 trillion. But we forget it, don't we? It's really easy to forget that. And when you kind of get this birth chart in front of you and you start looking at all of the placements where all of the planets are uniquely for you, you start thinking like, oh my God, this is all unique to me. Because I think astrology kind of gets a bit of a bad rap, doesn't it? Because we just focus on those 12 like star signs.
Yeah.
But that is the tip of the iceberg.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I will say that I am such a Leo through and through that when I see they'll give you a quiz like, we're going to describe somebody to you, what sign are they? I will know immediately it's Leo. I live and breathe Leo. I feel leadership all the time. I want to build a sense of community, but based around what I think is my most important message. I always want to be purposeful. And I'm fiery. I don't like to cause conflict. I'll do it all behind stage and just
Like
silently move
Leo,
on.
Leo for me, because I'm a Leo as well, and I was kicking myself when we had our intro call. You were like, "What's my sign?" And I kind of bit my tongue. I didn't kind of lean it because I thought, I bet Diane's a Leo, because I was looking at your hair and I was like, she is.
Yeah, my
Leo for me is like, for things to be real, it needs to be witnessed.
totally.
You know,
Did a tree
right?
fall in the forest? Did it fall in the forest?
And that it couldn't be more real for you, because your sun is literally on your midheaven, so that is your career line. That's like the kind of your legacy line. That's how you're seen on like a public platform, right? And then when you were just talking about what you need to like express your message, I was saying earlier, you have Mercury there as well, so you are going to do this in this very Leo magnetic, like flamboyant kind of flair that you have. I'm a Leo sun as well, so I really resonate with that. But my Leo is in my first house, so my Leo is actually more just me showing up. The more I kind of grow and like develop as a person, the more my Leoness kind of comes out, basically.
Hi, it's Diane Gilman. Guess what? If you are in the same bucket I'm in, which is women over 50, and you're thinking to yourself, how do I find out the best products to use? Maybe you've heard me talk about Purity Woods, and maybe you've asked me, I don't know, Diane, why do you love it? I'll tell you. Your skin is your passport to your visual to the world. If your skin is glowy, if your skin is healthy, you just generally look younger and are treated as a more vibrant personality. Why do I like Purity Woods? 100% organic. There is so much pollution in the air, so much pollution even if I go to wash my face with tap water. So many chemicals. I truly appreciate products that not only feel pure, but the scent of Purity Woods is just unbelievably refreshing. So, you know what? Give it a try. Get a discount using the code in the caption. Purity Woods. I love these products, and two of my very favorites from Purity Woods are the makeup remover, the exfoliator, which is just sort of like magic. So also, ladies, remember one more thing. As we age past 50, we do not turn over our skin cells as quickly as we did in our 20s, 30s, or 40s. You need not only a great makeup remover, but you need a great exfoliator to urge new skin cells to come to the fore. Purity Woods, they got it all. So let's not even say, we know these are very uncertain times in so many ways for us in America. Our whole political system is changing, and it's a little disconcerting, the amount of changes and proposals that are coming to us. So I am going to ask you one thing. The buildup over the last 20 years on the internet has been about me, 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 me. And that is, to my thinking, personified by Kim Kardashian. And that has allowed her to grow into an international figure, and everybody wants to know what she's doing every minute, and it's calming down a little, but that could just be aging. You're aging out. With Aquarius, are we going more into the age of community and community growth and togetherness and finding purpose and action through all being together in sort
Yes.
of an appreciation of one another?
Yes, but I will say, like, Aquarius is kind of this, like, paradox, because on one hand, Aquarius energy is very much all about really owning your uniqueness and really standing out and knowing who you are on that kind of individual level, right? And that can be found within your birth chart. But Aquarius is all about, it has this real humanitarian mindset about how does this affect the wider community? How can we make things better for humanity? It also has that kind of mentality, that belief system as well. But so I really feel like as we kind of awaken and we understand ourselves on a much deeper level, and we get to grips with like what our strengths are, but also what are our blocks and our woundings, I think we kind of can't not be more compassionate to ourselves, but also then compassionate to other people. We see them. Do you know what I mean? And I think this is how this humanitarian like mission will kind of roll out. I do think discovering your birth chart is a big part of it.
Yep, I
I
so
really
agree.
do.
And if you saw my birth certificate, oh my God, it was all written in hand with a runny pen. I mean, all they had were typewriters in 1945 when I was born. There was no computer, there was no typing it in. So I am so frustrated that I have no accurate time. I do want to ask you one thing, and I think it's something that even for the audience out there who is not that familiar with astrology, which actually can be an incredible tool for your life, always hear, oh, Mercury's retrograde. I hope Mercury's not retrograde. Oh my God, I think Mercury is retrograde. I didn't get my packages from Amazon today, and
I
talk
know.
to the general audience about something they hear all the time.
I know it
What?
kind of, it's the same as like, oh God, it must be a full moon. It kind of, it falls in that kind of realm,
Oh,
doesn't
that's
it? So,
perfect.
so let me talk to you about Mercury. So Mercury is the planet of communication. It's also the planet of like technology and things. So when it goes retrograde, it basically looks in the sky like it's moving backwards. It's actually not, but it looks like it's moving backwards. So when it's retrograding, it's a real time when people say, you know, that, oh God, kind of travel gets interrupted, or like emails or don't send, or contracts get kind of confused, or it's just like a real time where anything linked with communication or kind of technology tends to kind of be a bit more chaotic, which I think is true, but it's something to just be mindful of. Like, I mean, I would just be double checking during a Mercury retrograde. You just want to be double checking things more, I would say. But also, because Mercury is the planet of communication, it's also having an awareness that sometimes when you're in a conversation with someone, that things might be like miscommunicated. You might
Yes.
mishear, like you
Yeah.
might not be able to articulate yourself in the way that you want to during a Mercury retrograde. So it's just like, again, having an awareness of that. But truthfully, whenever a planet is retrograding, it's a time to go inwards. Retrograding, going backwards, is a time to go inwards. So it's actually a kind of a real time to be a bit more reflective about, I guess, what feeling into wherever you are in your life right now. But it's always an invitation to go inwards and do the kind of more of the inner work.
Oh, really? To me, I'm usually screaming during all of Mercury retrograde. Like, why didn't you send that sample? What do you mean you're out of that flavor? Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
I mean, some of those feel like just like it's like we're just blaming everything on Mercury
Oh, yeah,
retrograde right now.
exactly. Now, I want to explain something to the audience, and you tell me if you think I'm saying this correctly. I just got my DNA read for major health changes, or what my body is really good at responding to and what it is not, and then it's up to me to figure out how to bolster those areas of my personal health. I would honestly say using your birth chart, having it read by a consummate professional like you, Jenna, is the equivalent of having your spiritual DNA identified.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, my belief, and I know not everyone will be this far down their kind of spiritual path, and it
Right.
means all different things for us. But for me, it is this map of your soul. And all of the planets, where they're all placed, what zodiac sign they're in, you chose all of those placements. When you discover your birth chart, it's kind of like a remembering of like how your soul wants to grow this lifetime. Your birth chart, however kind of spiritual you want to lean into it, your birth chart is an amazing self-discovery tool.
Yeah.
An amazing self-discovery tool for you to just get more and more aware of what your strengths are, what kind of gifts come really naturally to you, but also like what kind of pain point is really holding you back constantly within your life. And that can be found, there's an asteroid called Chiron. Chiron is like, it's kind of described as the key to your chart, and it actually looks like that on your birth chart. But that is your soul's wound. It's a pain point, and that will help you gain awareness of what is that thing that is kind of holds you back, like gets in your way. But when you lean into that, that's where your healing comes.
Oh, interesting, because I can tell you, and I've shared it with the audience, I am a very creative being. And if I don't create something beautiful or something mystical or something mysterious or interesting or healing every day of my life, I feel like I've missed out on a day. Yet I was born to a set of parents who could not accept any level of creativity. Everything in life had to be written in stone. This is what you, at 3 years old, they had my whole life mapped out for me, and it was everything I didn't want to do or didn't want to be. And so I'm wondering, in my birth chart, and possibly other people are wondering too, where they've had an upbringing that wasn't as supportive as they might have liked, would we be able to see how that all comes about?
I
Because
think
it pushed me out of my home as a teenager, and I never went back. I created a wall around myself to protect my creativity that has really served me well, but lasted my whole life.
because your Chiron is within. I won't go into it in loads of detail, but your Chiron is in Libra, which is also it's a wounding of relationships. You know,
Oh, wow.
so it's the kind of that the pain point there is in those significant relationships
Yes.
for you, like you were talking about, like within your family.
Yes.
So the healing comes from actually like exactly what you were saying, prioritizing yourself, and like how you feel about your creativity and being like, no, this is what's important to me, and I'm going on my own. You almost did that very early on.
I did.
You know.
I did. And yeah, I felt creativity was, as literally, not exaggerating, felt like creativity and exercising it was as important as breathing.
Yeah, I mean that's very
identifiable.
That's so Leo as well. I think anything that kind of encapsulates like any kind of form of self-expression, like in creativity, authentic self-expression is creativity, and so that's why you were like, you know, you were holding on to that, and that was, you could already tell at a really early age that needed to be let out within you, like protected, and that was something that you had to kind of birth into, well, which makes total sense because of where all of that Leo energy is in at your chart. You know, you kind of felt that from an early age. I will also say that your moon sign as well is a really kind of key thing to understand within your birth chart, because that your moon sign represents your inner world. It's your kind
Sagittarius.
Yes, you're Sagittarius. It's like your feeling, it's your emotions, it's how you need to be nurtured. And going back to what you were just saying earlier, if we think of your moon sign almost as a bit of an inner child, it's thinking about like what it is that I need to feel nurtured. And then when you've got to grips with what that moon sign is, it's like, okay, did I get my moon sign needs met as a child? And that's very revealing, you know, and because most of the time we didn't.
So actually, the man that I wound up living with as my life partner for 20 years, that was the one man I met who actually deeply respected my talent and took over doing everything he could to nurture it, build it, feed it, take care of it when it was under attack, tell me I could do it. That was, so I even chose a mate based on my Leo perspective of what was key to my identification in life. So I do want to say to anyone out there who thinks this is mumbo jumbo because it isn't scientific, well, it actually in its own way is scientific, but I will tell you what, I have used heavier, lighter, more dense, more inflammable, more peaceful forms of astrology all my life, and I have never forgotten that I am a pure Leo. I am honestly the essence of it. And so I say to anybody who has never tried it but thinks it's like voodoo-y or say, no, it is actually as close to getting your DNA read. I didn't get my DNA read for my family tree. I got it read for just by a doctor who's developed special kind of DNA testing for heart disease, cancer, just major issues as you age, and just giving you pointers on how you could avoid some of those problems. I really believe astrology is and should be viewed as a life tool.
Oh God, that's a real like mic drop moment there, Diane. I will say, I have created a free resource for your listeners. They can go on and discover their birth chart, and then they can find out what their sun, moon and rising sign is, their Mercury, which we've been chatting about today, and their Chiron, because I feel like once you get an awareness of what that block is, it really is kind of opening a doorway into your self-awareness, into your self-discovery. So I'll make sure that you have the link for that, but that's a completely free.
And we'll give all information about you also. Jenna is in London.
London, yes.
Yeah, I love it. We went there this summer, June. Oh, gorgeous. I love the civility. And you people are so much happier than we are. You're so nice. I mean, I think one of my best party moments ever was in the makeup counters of Harrods. I mean, my God, the salespeople were just lovely. So I want to thank you so much. And as we go into the Age of Aquarius, people, I think you will see more and more the importance of astrology, what an incredible tool it is, and how it's going to help us decipher everything that's going on, because I feel like in many ways we are heading into completely new territory, and we need a guide and a great astrologer like Jenna, and using astrology correctly, not as a party tool, but really correctly, can clarify a lot and bring down our whole level of, oh my God, what am I doing here? Or what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
So, gosh, Jenna, any closing remarks?
Just that I think this year is a real awakening point, I think, for us all, and that exactly what you've just said, but your birth chart is this anchor for you this year. So the quicker you can get into discovering it and learning these parts about yourself and really embracing your uniqueness this year, and remembering that we're all on this mission to grow and evolve. That's the key.
At the age of 78 and a half, I changed my entire career, my entire focus, but still done with an artistic flair. And I made sure that going into my 80s, I was going to be in a position of learning, crafting, and absorbing new information and understanding how to use it for the right purpose. Does that sound good?
It does.
Of course it does.
Because you deliver it with such like flair and confidence, and we're like, yes, of course. Yeah.
I have to. Oh my gosh, what a pleasure meeting you. And may I ask, will you come back again?
Yes, I would love to. I'd absolutely love to.
We are going to leave all the information in our graphics, and you will be able to find out all about your chart and or get a reading from a real deal kind of person, which is Jenna Ewing. I thank you. This was so much fun.
So much fun. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Bye. May the stars be with you. Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young to be old.